I will now introduce the head of the architects and the engineers group of 1,200 architects and engineers from all around the country. This gentleman, A1A, member of the American Institute of Architects, licensed architect for 22 years, founder of the nonprofit organization Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Gage.
Bless you. I'm not going to let that happen to my voice. I'm honored to have been asked to speak to you today by the 9/11 victims' family members. The Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth now number 1,280 petition signers. Collectively, we have more than 25,000 years of combined building and technical experience. If 1,000 architects were to tell you that your home was in danger of collapsing, would you at least listen?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you want to know the truth?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Well, please listen to us. We have an extremely important message to deliver to you today. And it is not about the Islamic Cultural Center, a red herring fed to the media to keep New Yorkers emotionally occupied, while the crime of the century, the explosive demolition of the 3 World Trade Center skyscrapers, goes largely unquestioned. Today we're here to inform you that we've uncovered evidence that the official investigations into what happened to the World Trade Center skyscrapers on 9/11 were deeply flawed, or worse. The scientific forensic facts we have discovered have troubling implications. But let's begin with the facts. A technologically highly advanced energetic material has been discovered in the World Trade Center dust from the 9/11 catastrophe. This follows the discovery by the United States Geological Survey and others of high concentrations of unusual, previously molten, iron-rich microspheres in the World Trade Center dust. These microspheres can only have been formed during the destruction of the World Trade Center at temperatures far higher than can be explained by jet fuel and office fires. Those fires, we are told by engineers employed by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, were allegedly the cause of the World Trade Center's destruction. The discovery of this advanced energetic material in the form of red-gray chips distributed throughout the dust both explains the iron-rich microspheres and confirms the inadequacy of the official account of what happened that tragic day. Even before the microspheres and red-gray chips had been identified and brought to our attention, we were deeply concerned about the other aspects of the destruction of these iconic buildings and how they were investigated. More than 24 firefighters, engineers, and other witnesses reported seeing substantial quantities of molten iron or steel flowing like lava, they said, in the debris under all 3 World Trade Center high-rises. Office fires and jet fuel cannot possibly reach the temperatures necessary to liquefy iron or steel. A mixture called thermite, though, can, consisting of pulverized iron oxide and aluminum, and it generates temperatures over 4,000 degrees, far more than is needed to melt iron or steel, which melts at about 2,700 degrees. Next, the energetic material that was found in the World Trade Center dust by an international team of scientists led by Niels Harrit of the University of Copenhagen in Denmark was reported in the peer-reviewed Open Journal of Chemical Physics. Niels Harrit is with us today. Say hi, Niels. Hey, We'll be speaking at the conference tonight on these discoveries and the discovery of the international team. Now, this material consists of nano-engineered iron oxide and aluminum particles, 1/1000th the size of a human hair, embedded in another substance consisting of carbon, oxygen, and silicon. the sizes of the iron oxide particles are extremely uniform, and neither they nor the ultrafine grain aluminum platelets could possibly have been created by a natural process such as a gravitational collapse or impacts of jetliners. The red-gray chips in which these particles were found exhibit the same characteristics as advanced energetic materials developed in U.S. national laboratories in the years leading up to 9/11. They have no reason to be in the World Trade Center dust, given all the horrific costs in human lives, loss of civil liberties, and trillions of tax dollars spent in response to the official account of 9/11. There can be no more urgent need than for our country and the world to find out who put those materials in the World Trade Center and why. Now, this need makes it all the more disturbing that top engineers in charge of the government's investigation would avoid dealing straightforwardly with all the evidence that AE 9/11 Truth and others have repeatedly brought to their attention, much of which has been available in the public record since the beginning. John Gross, NIST co-project leader, has denied the existence of, or even any reports of, molten iron or steel in the World Trade Center. They stopped their analysis of the tower's complete and highly energetic destruction at the very point when that destruction began. And they have dismissed or avoided serious analysis of the additional evidence with which we are concerned, such as the fact that both twin towers were completely dismembered and destroyed in just 10 to 14 seconds, which occurs at nearly free-fall acceleration. For this to happen, all 47 of their massive core columns, as well as a large fraction of their external columns, would have to be compromised with explosives beforehand. Next, more than 100 first responders reported hearing explosions and seeing flashes of light at the onset of the destruction of the towers. Light flashes clearly indicate explosive detonations. Next, these recordings were obtained, by the way, from New York City Fire Commissioners' recorded oral histories by the New York Times in August of 2005. Next, multi-ton steel perimeter wall sections were ejected laterally at 60 miles per hour to a distance of 600 feet. That speed and distance indicates that a high-pressure explosion wave initiated those ejections. Next, 90,000 tons of concrete and metal decking were pulverized in midair, again indicating explosions. And I mean pulverized to a fine powder. Next, World Trade Center 7, whose replacement we stand in the shadow of, a 47-story building, high-rise, which was not hit by any airplane, came down in pure free-fall acceleration for more than 100 feet, a significant fact that NIST's Shyam Sunder was forced to admit after being presented with the research of members of AE 9/11 Truth. Yet, NIST has failed to acknowledge the obvious implications of this fact, which is that the columns must have been explosively removed and severed within fractions of a second of each other. The complete destruction and dismemberment of Building 7 collapsing in just 6.5 seconds, again, in this case, at pure free-fall acceleration, through the path of what was the greatest resistance. And symmetrically, this is an occurrence only possible with expertly pre-placed explosives. These falsehoods and omissions in the NIST report include: 1. NIST overstated the severity and duration of the fires in all 3 skyscrapers, apparently in order to make more credible to attribute the destruction to fires, yet without exaggerating them enough to account for all the molten iron and steel.